ignore it. Just a passing thing. So welcome everybody. It's lovely to be here on a Thursday afternoon. I'm Lisa Jossel and I'm in Cape Town, and nice to see some of you saying who you are. And today's going to be like a really informal chat about home staging, where it is, what's happening, my job. You're free to ask me any questions. I'm available to answer. And yeah, and maybe we can continue the conversations afterwards. I'm very happy today to have like quite a few of my students on. Lindy, Karen, let me see, Renee, Rona, and Bev, and Liska, which is awesome. So guys, I'd love it if you chipped in. So just raise a hand if you've got something to say along the way. So I'm going to, without further ado, start sharing my screen. Yeah. Okay, so basically today we're just going to talk briefly about what's home staging, what is it, and then what's happening now, what is the future, and then I really hope that you'll come forward with some questions. I'm sure you'll have, and no question is silly. I mean, I often sit in Zoom things and I think, should I say that? Shouldn't I? Should I? Anyway, any questions welcome. So this is my business in Cape Town, Home Stages Cape Town. I started it in 2017, and basically what home stages do is we work with estate agents and sellers to help them present their properties to the market in a way that sells faster and for more money. So that's like if you wanted to have a 2-minute elevator speech, that is what home stages do. So we are allies to estate agents and not competition. Yeah, we help sellers. So my own story started in 2017. I was living in Cape Town and I was an editor, and I was kind of, yeah, I just thought, like I'd like to flip a house, like lots of us think. And so I bought a house up the road. It was an old 70s style, parquet floors. You could see the old fireplace. And this is my refurb, so it was really pretty bad before, but this is what I did. Probably wouldn't do exactly the same now. I'm sort of more sophisticated now, but this is what I did. When I wanted to sell, the agent, who you could see in the bottom corner, Carol Knopf, said, you are not going to sell if it's empty. You need to stage it. So I had some furniture and I borrowed some furniture and I rented some furniture and I staged it, and this was the result. In just that's below it. So it's probably, I mean, it's definitely a style that I wouldn't use now. I think as all stages, your aesthetic evolves. So you'll change as you grow and you do more properties and as you gather inventory. But anyway, this worked well enough to attract lots and lots of people who came. In those days, there were show days. On the Sunday afternoon, it was sold, and the agent was thrilled. She asked me, can I do another property, even though this wasn't my core job? So I did another property, which had been on the market for 3 months already empty, and there were no offers. And so she asked me to stage it, which I did. And once again, the house sold immediately. And so after that, I thought, okay, let me see, is there a business in this? And I realized that there was. And it's been, it hasn't been easy, I'll tell you that. There aren't a lot of home stages, or there weren't a lot of home stages around when I started. In Cape Town, there was only one other staging studio. She'd been doing it for a long time, and now she's actually stopped doing it. She's gone to France. So I was kind of alone, kind of pioneering this and hoping to get it going, persuade agents. I work very, very hard at doing it. I've got a database now of agents in Cape Town that I send newsletters to very often. And I've built up quite a following, which I'm happy to say. So I've sort of paved the way for staging. In Joburg, there was Lucy Leroux of Illuminate, who has just stopped staging. And there's one other company that I know of. And then, of course, there are some of my students who set up businesses and are staging around the country. Some of them will talk to you later about it. So this is kind of more my aesthetic nowadays. This is an empty property. It's actually a penthouse in Vredehoek, which is a kind of a upmarket area. And this had been also on the market for a long time, empty, no interest. I staged it. I made use of every space in a house needs to have its own purpose when you are staging, because people are buying per square meter, so they want to see the value. So if you could see here, I staged even the outside with a table and a stool, so it shows you can go outside, have a drink at a sort of bar area. And it's very important when you're staging to have, even if the property is small, as this one was, to show that you can have an eating area as well as a sitting area. Okay, so this one went fast, and another great success. What can I say? I love staging. And this is a kind of property that I did I think maybe last year, the beginning of last year. It was a development, and the developer had done sort of a new technique of plaster on the floors, on the walls, on the ceiling. It looks pretty much like a prison cell. It really didn't have any distinguishing features. And so I came in and staged it, and it looked like that afterwards. So big art on those big walls, big empty walls, as you could see, and neutral abstract art. There are a couple of tips, a lot of tips that in terms of staging. Great for those of you who are interior decorators, but you don't need to be an interior decorator to be a stager, and I'm certainly not one. And in fact, the other day, one of the houses I staged sold, and the agent said that the buyer wanted me to, could she buy my furniture? And I said, no. Could I decorate? Could I do interior decorating for her? And I said, no, because interior decorating is not my thing. Interior decorators, when you have to be nice to the owner, and staging is not that at all. You simply have to know what buyers want to sell the house, and you don't have to take into account anyone else's taste. And this is a video I'm going to play you of this is a luxury house that I did in Claremont. And yeah, this is a day in the life of a homestager. So I don't know if you noticed my hair in that video and compared it to my hair today. You can see I was very frazzled. Homestaging is hard work. And it was a long day. That particular one was a very big house. So you might be wondering, like, what do I do as a homestager? How do I earn money? And basically, I do two main things. The one is restyling properties where people are living, and we call that in the jargon, restyling an occupied house. And there I offer 1 hour consultations for your average 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. And I start outside with curb appeal. So literally as a buyer would see that house, the first impression, and we go through, starting from the garden with a checklist, going through everything that I think they should do, I recommend they should do, and everything I think they should buy. So I do obviously keep the buying part things down to a minimum, because people don't really want to spend that much money. But things like scatter cushions, throws, anything that's going to make the house look prettier, I do suggest. And then, so they are free to take my recommendations on board or not. And if they want me to, I do come in with my team, who you saw in the previous video, and I can restyle the property for them. So those are 2 ways of earning money. I started off with my restyling. I charge 500 Rand for the hour, and now I charge 1,500. So I've obviously increased as I've got more well-known and more experienced at it. And then I do empty houses, which is what you saw you've seen before. And I also do an online course, which I will tell you about later. This is a typical house that I stage. Like a lot of people think that staging is for expensive houses, but actually it's for your everyday average house. I actually staged my own house last year when I sold it, and it sold on the preview night for full, actually over asking. So yeah, it's really worth staging, even occupied houses. So perhaps some of you can tell me what you would do to change this house. You can either unmute or you can type. What would you do if you were staging this house so that a buyer would fall in love with it? Feel free to chat.
Hi.
Hi.
It's Palisa from
Hi,
Joburg.
Vanessa. Hi there.
I would actually remove the photos and like put like bigger paintings on the wall.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Why
that's
would
what
you take the photos away?
Well, I watch like a lot of like these like home decorating
Okay.
shows, and they're always saying that buyers don't like personal things in the house of like the actual people who live there or from the seller. So yeah, just put like nice, colorful, neutral, appealing to everybody kind of art, but bigger than what's there, because it seems like the art that's there seems to take a little, like it doesn't like really impact the walls.
Right. That's very good. Yeah, exactly. One of the main principles is to depersonalize, and there are a number of ways that one can depersonalize spaces, and that is one. And let me just go to the chat. I saw some people were writing. Bev says, remove all wanted or unnecessary items and all unwanted or unnecessary items and tidy the clutter. Yes, remove all the pictures. Lorraine said. Okay, Suku, yes, let's hear from you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I think I would probably change that coffee table because it looks like it's too small for the space. And then there with the, I don't know if it's a fireplace or I wouldn't have the pictures as well. I'll probably make it a focal point. Maybe I'll have tiles or a mosaic going up the wall. And then I'm following your arrows for guidance, by the way. And
Okay,
then I would remove where there's the red arrow. I would, because I think it's wallpaper or something, I don't know. That's when I would have, and it's by the dining table. So I probably would remove that wallpaper and then maybe I would have a gallery wall there.
Okay, that sounds lovely. Okay, good. Yeah, so you're right about the coffee table is too small. One of the things is that there's no separate dining areas. You can see a dining area pushed against a wall is not a dining area. So you really do need to show a dining area, especially in a big space like this. So this is what the seller did after my 1 hour consultation. She did change the coffee table. It is bigger. It could have possibly been a bigger coffee table, but I think she borrowed this. And the wall is nicely painted now. And if you just look around the corner, you could see the dining room chairs. There was actually a space there that she was using as she had a sewing machine. She has a hobby room. But a dining room is more important to a buyer than a hobby room. So we moved the dining room there, or she moved it there at my advice, and put a nice, just made it, it's very decluttered apart from the baby chair there. This is a photo she sent me after she had decluttered and staged her home, which by the way got 3 offers in 1 week after she staged it, after having had no offers for months. And this person became one of my students because she had such fun doing it. And yeah, it's just one of my students now. And there, as you said, there's a not very good photo, but you could see the difference with all the clutter and then the focal point. The fireplace is also painted. It looks pristine, looks clean. It's something that people look for is maintenance. Have you looked after your property? Okay, so a lot of people will ask me, like, how do you sell the concept of staging to your seller? And it's becoming more and more easy. But the easiest way to do it is to explain when you get your opportunity to speak to the seller, and that your home is your home. When you live there, you love it. You want your things, you want your art, you want your little ornaments. But when it comes to selling it, now it's a product. It's basically a product, just like a car or any other product. It's a house, and you have to package it in such a way to appeal to the most people, just like you would do with a car. You'd respray it and get it valeted, and you have to emotionally distance yourself from the house, which is a very hard thing for people to do because selling usually takes place at an emotional time of people's lives. Maybe it's good emotion, like having a baby, but sometimes it's like getting divorced or kids leaving the nest. So it's hard to distance yourself, but that is the advice that you need to give sellers. And the aim of it all is to attract your ideal buyer. So you need to say to sellers, you want to sell, you need to attract your ideal buyer. This is how you're going to do it. And then, of course, you could come with lots of stats, which there are on my website, and in my course on stage homes, how fast they sell. And the sooner your house sells, the quicker you can move on with your new life. Also, staging highlights all the pluses and downplays the minuses. All houses have minuses. Much as we love them, there are points that are better to highlight and points to downplay. And a big thing is to reduce holding costs. So, yeah, I was saying earlier that people often think it's just for the luxury market, but often the luxury market can afford to hold on to their houses and pay the rates of taxes, the electricity, the maintenance, the insurance for months on end while their home doesn't sell. But the ordinary market can't. So those sellers are often the ones who really appreciate the value of staging, because if your house sells fast, then you don't have all these holding costs, which are very expensive. A stage home appears well cared for, and of course, it's a good way to start preparing for your move. And this is what buyers want, even though we may not live like this. This is what buyers want to see: a home that they can just fall in love with. So this is a monochromatic palette with lots of white, lots of light. Looks gorgeous with the mountain in the background. This is the same penthouse that I showed you earlier, and looking like this, it's sold. People want to see light, bright, well-maintained, modern, and purposeful spaces. Here's another example of a not so modern house. I do a lot of these oldies, which I love doing. Warm, but it had curtains, which I removed, let in the sun, make it look gorgeous. It also sold, actually, there's a bizarre story to this because this house couldn't sell, wasn't selling empty, and I staged it. And a friend of mine who lives in Namibia came to visit, and she said, "What do you do?" And I said, "Okay, let me take you to a house that I staged, and I showed her, and she bought it." So everyone was happy. And that's another view of the penthouse that I staged. Big vases, striking, opulent looking. Okay, so what's happening now? As I said, and there are a lot of students on this webinar. I run courses because I believe that the more stages there are in South Africa, the faster the industry will grow. The faster the industry grows, the easier it is for all of us to get work. Because, as I said to you, I've been doing all the social media and all the awareness, all the education, sort of by myself for the last couple of years. And I started a course only last year, and people have just begun to graduate now and start their own businesses. And so they are contacting agents, they are creating awareness. And as that happens, more and more people are approaching them for staging too. So I think there's room for many, many more stages in South Africa, and I'm going to tell you why. And just on the right are some of my my students who started businesses. Actually, Rona, this is your business, Siva Staging. Do you want to just say anything about what you've learned? You can unmute yourself. Are you still there, Rona? Yes. Hi, Rona. We can't hear you. Put your mic on. Maybe your volume's not on. Oh, sorry, we can't hear you. Shall we go to Liska? Liska, are you there? I can't see everyone who's there. Let me see who's there of my students. Bev, you're still there? Or Renee, are you there? Perhaps you could talk.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay, who's that now?
Renee.
Okay, Renee, tell us a little bit about your experience of staging.
Well, I'm not at the point where I'm actually having business, but I've had a few encounters with people so far, and it was a good practice run. But yeah, it's definitely a concept that I think we're breaking into, especially in the northern suburbs. People still have to get, I think, used to the idea, but also seeing how much we can actually help people to actually sell their homes much quicker. So yeah, that's been my experience so far.
Okay. Sorry, Zandile's got a problem with the sound. I hope your sound's okay now. Rona, do you want to try again? No, it's not working. Okay, never mind. Okay, so this is an example of a house that I staged like last month or 2 months ago. Here's the living room. This is what it looked like. I'm showing you these just to show you like how much work there is at the moment. There's quite a lot of work in staging. That was the staged house, and it sold in 30 days. So you could just see, there it is side by side, what a huge difference staging makes. And oh, I'm so excited because this one I staged like 3 weeks ago. The agent took 3 weeks to get the photos together, and it got an offer in 1 day, which I heard about today. So that's the before, and that's the after. And there is the side by side. So you can see I advised them to replace the lights, which they did, put a modern light. We painted the whole thing white. And that's all really I did here, just modern lights and painted it white. We got the carpet cleaned and staged with modern furniture, took down the curtains. So I'm very happy about that. So the future. Okay, so a quick look at the number of estate agents in South Africa shows me that there are 60,000 registered estate agents who are working in South Africa. So if only 1% of those are willing to stage, then that's 6,000 people that you could work with. And I do recommend that you go out and look at how many agents are working in your particular area. So just go onto Property 24, see where you're living, and see how many properties are available and how many agents are available. So the Western Cape's got over 15,000 agents, Free State's got over 3, KwaZulu over 8, Gauteng over 30, and the Northwest even has almost 2,000. So there really is opportunity to meet agents. So it's not I do understand that some agents are resistant, but not all agents are resistant, and we just have to find like that person who started with me and build that relationship, and from there you can expand your network. And then I also just did a quick search of how many properties are on the market, and there are many. These are only residential. In Sandton there are 9,000. Pretoria's got 18,000. Umhlanga has got 4,000. Bloemfontein 3,500. East London 1,800. Nelspruit 1,100, and Somerset West, which is just a suburb really, like Sandton, has got 1,300. So there is a lot of opportunity. You just have to find the houses where sellers are willing to stage. I'm also just showing you these testimonials from agents. The reason I'm showing you them is partly to brag, but also because just to show you that these agents really believe in staging. They, like this one who started with me in the beginning, I staged properties for her all the time, and she gets properties, she gets mandates because people say to her, Carol, you have the prettiest houses. Yeah, she does have the prettiest houses because they are generally staged. This is another one where the agent had been trying to sell it with tenants' furniture in. Of course, tenants' furniture is awful generally, and they don't want to tidy up. They don't want you to sell. There's no interest in them for you to sell your house. So, it's very hard to sell a house with a tenant in. And after I staged it, it sold in a week. And this is another agent that I forged a very nice relationship with. I've staged many properties for her. And the last property I staged sold within 2 weeks of marketing for the full asking price. So that is something to happen in this market, because this happened like about 2 weeks ago. And so these people really believe in staging and will sell you. So I basically have a course, which is a business course. This course is aimed at helping you start a business. So when you feel ready, like you've had enough of whatever you're doing now, and you feel ready to stage, to start a new career, you can start with this online training course, which is 7 modules. So they're pre-recorded modules. You start them whenever you like. There's no like date that you have to start. As soon as you pay, you get an email saying access to the course. So it's got 7 videos that cover a range of topics, and they've got handouts, so you could take notes. Let me just click the next thing. Yeah. Whoops. You could do it in your own time. It's like Netflix. You can watch again or stop, or watch late at night whenever you like. It covers everything from the psychology of staging, like how do you convince sellers, what do buyers look for, how do you convince agents, to all the design principles of staging, to how to, you get a job, how do you approach your first project. It's got everything about the contracts the agreements, the quoting, how to invoice, how to price your services, where to find furniture. There are lots of before and after photos and tips. And at the end of each module, you have a practical project or practical exercises, which if you do them will give you the foundation for building your own website and your own social media. And then at the end of it, you have to do a project. You could do your own house or you could do anything to show me that you've applied the principles of staging. And then I am a sort of mentor to you during and after the staging course and helping you to the extent that you want. And we also have a group, a WhatsApp group and a Facebook group of all my stagers who are on the course together. And we help each other, like, should I do this logo or that logo? Where can I source this or that? Okay, if I've got like work in Durbanville that I don't want to do, I'll refer it. If I get an inquiry from someone in Joburg, I pass it on. The cost of the course is 7,250. But if you're watching this webinar, I'm giving a special of 6,500. Plus, you're getting a 1 hour personal meeting with me, which is a good deal because I charge normally 1,500 for that, you know, if I'm doing a consultation. I'm not doing a hard sell. It's up to you and to go away, think about it. It's a big investment on your side, but I will know who were the people on this webinar, and if you come back to me before the end of this year, then I will give you the special price. And here are some, these are just, I won an award last year and this year for industry leadership because from an international association called the International Association of Home Staging Professionals. And I am the founding member of a chapter in South Africa. It's worldwide and the biggest association. And I was given this award because of my commitment to building the industry in South Africa. And this little diagram on the left that you can see with just a table, whoopsie, is just, you can't really read it, unfortunately, but it shows that I'm only one of 2 people outside of America who won this award. Okay, I'm going to go to questions now because I did see that there were some, and also feel free to unmute yourself. So, okay, I'll start with, I'll see if I can start them in order. Khadija, when starting your home staging business with an empty house, how do you overcome not having enough furniture pieces? So I started with, you know, I had some furniture, I had some sort of extra furniture because I was keeping it for when my son turned 18. Actually, he was already 18, or for when my son moved out of home. So I had a cellar in my house and I was keeping furniture. So I used it. I just used what I had. And I also used what I had in my own house. So quite often there were no dining room chairs because they were out on a job. And slowly I've built up inventory from the jobs that I get. So, you know, you have to put aside some of the money you earn to buy inventory. I do recommend that you don't start buying inventory before you get a job because, you know, there's no point sitting with furniture and not having a job and having to warehouse it. So only start when you, you know, you get your first job and you look around on Facebook Market. There's so many places you could buy inexpensive furniture. So that's how I overcame that. So I source the furniture. I rent some. I do rent some. So this is for Yuseka. I do rent some furniture. There are various places that you can rent from. If you do the course, then I help you with how to find that furniture. And there's no such thing as buy and return. I've never heard of that. I mean, I have heard of people, stylists who buy and return from Mr. Price, like cushions that they use for a job and return it the next day. I don't do that because my staging period is never less than 30 days. So I don't do buy and return. And then in terms of paying for the furniture, no. You see, I charge, okay, the homeowner is my client, generally. I've only ever had one set of agents, they were partners, who paid for the full staging. I have had other agents who paid for half, shared it with the seller. So normally it's the seller who pays. So the agent does the introduction and sells you and says, listen, I really believe that staging works. I've seen it happen. Here's the number of a stager that I've worked with, or here's the number of a stager in your area. Make contact with her and, take it from there. So the seller pays me. Very seldom does the agent pay. Although in America, a lot of agents are at the point where they will not sell a house unless it's staged. And so they pay for it. And it's part of their value in selling themselves, to get the mandate. Oopsie, I meant to actually go down and see if there are any more features. Oh, that's the only question so far. Okay, so now I'm going to open it to the floor. Anyone?
Lisa, I think my microphone's working. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Do you want to comment?
It's Rona, yeah. No, just to say that I was actually approached by an estate agent who's flipping houses. So they buy an old house, they fix it up, and then they ask me to stage it. So we are very excited that we're going to be doing our first one. And they're looking at flipping 8 houses a year. So that would be continuous business if we get appointed as the home stagers for this.
Okay, that's great. Well, I hope you do. So that'll be awesome. So Rona's a student who, you were already an interior decorator, and now you've added staging to your portfolio. So I think in COVID and with the current economic situation, a lot of people won't be using interior decorators because an interior decorator is it's a nice to have. But selling your home is a must have. Once you decide to sell it, you need to sell it. So they do say that home staging is a recession-proof business because everyone will always need, not everyone, people will always need to sell their property. And so there'll always be a need for properties to sell faster. Okay,
on the contrary, as an interior designer, I became quite busy after COVID. However, as you said earlier on, being an interior designer is a headache. You have clients that are impossible to please, and they nitpick with everything. We've just done a bathroom refurb, and I'm sure they went through it with a fine-tooth comb and a microscope, and every morning when we went on site, they found something wrong with it. And I think the universe just told me to go home staging instead because it's not such a headache as when you're dealing with a client and a Mrs. Jones who wants something a particular way, whereas with home staging, you can actually tell them how it should be. Exactly. So it is, home staging, I think, is easier once you get the drift of that.
Thanks for that valuable point. I have a clause in my contract. I've learned the hard way that you don't have clients while you're staging because, as Rona said, clients are a headache. So I've learned. I had a client once at staging, and now I have a clause in my contract saying that neither the agent nor the owner may be present. And I just say, I'm the expert, trust me. And so it is a much smoother process than running around looking for wallpaper to suit a specific client. Zandile, do you want to say something? I see that you are unmuted.
No, thank you for now, because I've just got in. I was struggling with the speaker, so I think next time I will do earlier so that I can understand.
I have recorded this, I hope. So I will would just drop me a line and I'll send you a recording.
Okay, then. Thank you.
Pleasure. Anyone else? Any other questions? That's my website.
Hi,
by the
Lizzo.
way. Yes, hi. Who am I talking to? Who's speaking? Suku.
It's Sugu again.
Hi. Yes, good.
Hi. I think my question's been partly answered because I was asking, so what's the real difference between restyling and interior decorating?
Okay, so interior decorating is, it's for the seller, it's for the owner. The person is not selling. Usually they want to stay in their home, so they're interior decorating. And it's very much about their personal taste. And like I can show you pictures of interior decorated houses where there are, colors galore, ornaments galore, wallpaper that's got, birds or whatever. So staging is actually the very opposite. It's about neutrality. It's about attracting the most number of people in that demographic
Okay.
by giving them sort of aspirational lifestyle. So not only is the client different, but the principles are different.
Yeah.
Are you an interior decorator, Suzu?
Okay.
Are you an interior decorator?
I'm not actually. Wait. No, I work for a telecoms company, but I'm in love with interior anything interior decorating, staging included. I actually fell in love with staging because I recently bought another property, so it was a new development. So when we kept going, my husband and I was starting to doubt that it was as big as they sold it, But once one unit was staged, then that's when I think I really fell in love with home staging.
Good, yeah. Now I'm also in love with it. I'm actually quite passionate about it. It's a lot of fun as well. Ingrid, I see you unmuted. Would you like to ask a question?
Lisa, are these only empty houses that you stage? Because if you take the curtains down, what happens to the owners at night in the bath?
Sorry, what happens from a security point of view? Or?
Well, yeah, just the owners in the evening in their bedrooms. If you take curtains down, if you decide that the curtains on. What are these houses that people are living in and you pack
their
belongings?
Okay,
away?
Sorry. Can you finish? I'm interrupting you.
No, carry on.
Okay, so I do both. So when I do occupied houses and give them a consultation, I do occasionally say to them, like sometimes people have curtains in their living room that are not actually necessary. Like there isn't a privacy issue, and those curtains are blocking out the sunlight. Sometimes you do need a curtain if there's a bad view outside, like a sheer curtain. And so sometimes I will advise to put up a curtain. In the empty houses, I usually don't have curtains, and people generally do have security. They've got an electric fence, or they've got an alarm or something. I also ask my clients to take out insurance, household content insurance, so that if something does happen and it is stolen, then they're covered. But I've never had a robbery in 3 years, never had anything stolen, and that's because I don't put things like TVs, fridges, washing machines, stuff like that. So nobody wants to come in and steal a couch. So no, there generally aren't break-ins. So yeah, I hope, does that answer your question, Ingrid?
Yes, it does, Lisa. Thank you. And just one more thing: if do you sometimes stage with the person's furniture, their own furniture? Is because in the area that I live and that I am, I think that's probably going to be, people will ask me to come in and reorganize their house.
That's what I do. If they're living in their house, then I use their furniture, but I will edit it. So all of us have stuff that we got from our, hand-me-downs from our grannies and so on. And we've got our favorite thing that we brought back from our trip, and like that's sort of. We've also always all got that room where all the junk goes. So I edit all of that out. So and I depersonalize. So it's not just declutter. And I do just say to people, get rid of what are you taking with you and what are you not taking with you. What you're not taking with you, you must get rid of before you put your house on the market, not after. because because you want your house to be as depersonalized and as spacious looking as possible. So I think, like Ingrid, starting with those consultations, like as I described, is a very good way of easing yourself into the industry, because you're using their furniture and all you're giving of yourself is your time and your expertise.
Thank you.
I can't see if anyone else wants to talk or ask a question or was writing a question. Let me see if there are any new ones. How long does it take you to stage one house? So, Vuyiseka, okay, so the actual day of staging, okay, so let me say this. I start with they have to pay me 7 days before I will start even looking at what I'm going to do. So I get paid upfront in advance, 7 days, which gives me 7 days to get myself together, to find all the stuff I need. At the moment, I've got a lot of stuff. I've got like 4 couches, I own 5 dining room tables, I've got like lots of occasional chairs, lots of throws, lots of linen, But when I started, I had to, find all that. So it's 7 days from the date of payment to staging. And then for an average house takes me a day to stage. A very big house takes me a day and a half. So often like I'm tired by 3 o'clock. And so I'll go back the next day and hang the pictures. Hanging pictures takes time. So it takes me about a day in general for a smallish house to do. Sandile, can I mute you? Sorry, my dogs have just done. Sorry, I want to see Bev asked a question. What's the question, Bev? I've lost it now. The contract with the client. Bev, can you just explain what you mean? Can you explain what you mean?
Oh, sorry, I'm now unmuted. I can talk. Yes, I just wanted to know, like, what is imperative to have in the contract when you are going to stage for somebody? What is like are some of the key things that you must have in there to protect yourself and keep them informed and protect the client?
In my course, I give an example of my own staging agreement, which is, I used to be a plain language editor. I believe in plain language. I believe I don't like legal language at all. So I write plain language. So I have a very simple contract. It's got like 20 points, and it's written like I'm talking to you now, very conversationally, in which I tell people what are their responsibilities and what are mine. And their responsibilities are obviously to keep the house clean, to make sure there's security, to pay me on time. I can't remember what else. To get insurance, to not be there when I'm present, when I'm staging. I also specify in my contract exactly what the start day is of a contract and what the end day is. Sorry, I'm just going to stop share actually. Then you can stop share. Why is the screen black? Does anyone know? Why can't I see myself?
I can't see anything either.
You can't see me?
No.
I think just change your view and then you'll be fine.
I think you're just on in slideshow. So if you click to exit that.
I see. Okay, let me do that. Click to exit slideshow. How to do that?
Ah, there you are. I can see you.
My goodness. I've just been talking into blackness for all this time. So what else have I got in there? Basically they don't really have a lot of responsibilities, the clients, once I've staged. It's just basically to pay me and to keep the house clean, and to let me know if they want to stage again for another month. And I can't remember everything, but it's quite simple, and I will share it. And Rona, who spoke earlier today, she sent me a contract she's drawn up, which is not as quite as simple as mine and much more comprehensive. And perhaps, as she said, she doesn't mind sharing it with people. So, you know, in the group, we share things. So I'm very grateful to Rona, who will share another kind of contract that's more comprehensive than mine.
That would be great. That would be
Yeah.
great just to see. Yeah.
Yeah. Do they stay in the house while it's on show? So if the house is empty, they're not allowed to stay there. And that is one thing I've forgotten now, that I have to put in my contract, that no one may sleep on the furniture, no one may sit on the furniture, no pets allowed, etc., etc. If it's a house that I've restyled, then it's up to them to how they want to live after they've restyled it. But it's very stressful to live in a staged house. But I do, you know, they should live. So I tell them to take photos of what the house should look like. So that, you know, even if it's not like that every day, when people are coming, they can quickly remember, oh my God, this is how the bookshelf should look, and just restyle it. Yeah, so they can stay in the house afterwards. Photo shoots as a business. Tom Bentley, thanks for that question. You know, it is such a job to stage a house, like you are taking a whole house, literally, you saw in that video, to somewhere else. So to just do it for photos, it's really not worth your while. I say to them, I'll do it for you, but I'm going to charge you like more or less what I charge for 30 days. It's just too much work to stage it for photographs. People say, can't you just stage? I just need like a couch and a rug and a coffee table and a dining room table. And then you go like, but that's a whole house, you know. So no, I don't do that. There are stages who do that, but that's a no for me. It's not financially worth your while. Okay, the length of the course generally, I think the videos are about 7 hours in total, if you watch it right through without stopping. Maybe between 6 and 7 hours. If you do the practical exercises, it depends how thoroughly you do them. I have students who do them very thoroughly, and then, you know, it takes you, you know, however long it takes you. And then the project, I think you would need to leave at least 5 hours for the project. The project is, you can restyle a room in your own house to stage as a staged house. So it's not an interior decorated project, it's a stage house. So you empty that room, stage it like you would if you were going to stage it, and then, you know, take photographs before and after, so I can see, you know, whether you've done you've learned the principles of staging. And then if you have, then I give you a certificate. And if you haven't, then you have to go back and do another room. Or you can phone up an agent and say, listen, I've done a course. I would very much like to build a relationship with you. I'd love to offer you a free staging of one room in a house that you're selling. Would you be interested? And then you could stage that house, so that you could do, again, a person who's living in the house, you could give them a free consultation, or an empty room, but that's quite an effort. There's a lot involved in staging. There's transport, there's labor, there's planning, there's all the furniture, there's hanging nails, there's making beds, as you saw in that video. So I hope that answers your question. That was, I think, Lorraine who asked me that. Okay, the wall art. Oh yes, that's something else, Suku, that I do put in my contract, is that houses have plaster walls, and I put nails in, and I just say I put nails in. Yeah, so if it's an empty house that's freshly painted, I put my own nails in. But generally, where I put my art is where people should put their art. So I have that in my contract. I'm afraid that I'm going to put the nails in, but they are generally where people will want to put art afterwards. If it's a house that people are living in, they already have pictures up, I try and reuse those nails. But as somebody was saying earlier, I can't remember who was commenting on that house, bigger pictures would probably cover. I generally use big pictures, so they cover a whole lot of little nails. And if I do get them to paint a house, I usually suggest white so that it's easy for touch-ups. Any other questions? Okay. Can't see any other questions, but I see that people are still here, so that means that people are still got things to think about or ask. Maybe I'll talk a bit about pricing houses. Well, I told you that for a consult, I charge $1,500, and for to stage an empty house, I don't really have a price list. I don't have a price list, in fact. I have a sort of a range within which I work. I live in Cape Town and I stage houses in a specific part of Cape Town, which is the southern suburbs, City Bowl, and to some extent the Atlantic seaboard. And houses in the Cape, as you know, are like not representative of the rest of South Africa in terms of how expensive they are. And that's because there's little space in Cape Town between the mountain and the sea to build. And that's why houses are so much more expensive in Cape Town, in the parts that I sell. So a 3 million rand house in Cape Town is equal to a like 6-7 million rand house in Joburg, for example. Joburg's very northern suburbs, 5 or 6 million rand. So you have to look at where you're living or where you want to be working and what kind of price range those houses are going for. Like you can't charge. I say, Stager says a rule of thumb, you could charge about 0.5% of the asking price of the house. So if a house is 3 million, you could maybe ask 15,000. That's 0.5%. A little bit more. In fact, I do charge a little bit more. But you can't really go much higher than what than 1%. So 30,000 will be your outside price for that market in Cape Town. I'm talking about. I don't tell clients that I work within the 0.5% to 1% bracket, because people don't like to hear that they are being charged based on the value of their house. And I actually do have a way of working it out. I price the labor, I price the transport, I price the goods, I price my time, I price all sorts of things, and then I factor it in into like a formula, and I come up with a price. So, but if you do my course, I will help you with the pricing to work it out. So Lorraine, yeah, in fact, today I went back to a house I did in Mowbray, near me, to water the lawn. And some of the flowers, empty houses when nobody's living there are hot inside. So all the windows are closed. So I had to go and change the flowers because I had put sunflowers in and they were wilting. They only have a very short life, sunflowers. So I do go back. Tomorrow I've got 3 houses out at the moment. And the one sold, I showed you, the one. But nevertheless, they'll probably continue to stage it for a short while, because even after staging, there's things to tie up, like is the buyer going to pay the deposit and so on. So normally people do, even if the house sells fast, they do stage for a little bit longer just to make sure it's all tied up. And that's actually where you can make some nice money, because once you've done the initial work, when they do an extension, you've done the work, so you're just getting passive income. So that's, if you're doing developments, that's awesome, because you've done the initial planning, you've done the initial transport, you've taken all the furniture there, and now probably you'll be maybe moving furniture from one house to another, but you'll just be getting like a passive income every month. So developments are great if you can get them. Yeah, so I do go back and check. Horizon View in Joburg. Hazel, I'm not sure where that is. I am from Joburg, but I haven't lived in Joburg for a long time. Don't know where Horizon View is. East London is an area that I don't have a student in, and I really believe East London is a fabulous area to do staging in, because it's wide open for you to start staging there. Pretoria, I have 1 or 2 people, I think, 1 or 2. Any other questions? Ingrid? No.
No.
Theodore, I see you back. One of the things I wanted to just say is that in addition to my special offer today, I also offer a study with a buddy option, which means like it's basically you don't have to have a real buddy. It doesn't have to be someone you literally studying with. It could be a virtual buddy living in another town altogether. The only proviso is that you sign up on the same day. The reason I do that is I really want to encourage people to cooperate, work together. And so instead of paying 6,500, what was my thing? 6,500, I think. You pay 5,000. You each pay 5,000. You each get a certificate. The only thing is you can sign up on the same day. So Tuhida reminded me of that, because Tuhida was at my last webinar, and she wrote to me today and said she's looking for a study with a buddy. So if you are keen to hook up with somebody and take advantage of the scheme, you can write to each other in the chat here. You can write, hey, anybody looking for a buddy, and you can get together. And if you don't do that, you can also ask me to put you in touch with somebody. Okay, bye, Hazel, who said to me privately, she's very insightful, she has to leave, and she's in the West Rand. And Palesa, yes. Not sure if this was asked, but approximately how many hours would one work as a stager per week? Like, is this a full-time job or a part-time job? So I started off part-time doing restyling of houses. I now do it full-time. I could maybe do other work, but I do a lot of marketing. I mean, a lot of staging is marketing. You've got to put yourself out there. The actual staging part of it is less than the getting known, the educating others, the networking, all of that. It's like any business. You can open a restaurant, but if you're not promoting it, no one's going to come. You can have the best food, but it's all about promotion. So you could do it part-time in the beginning, and I recommend while you're doing the course, while you're studying, do it part-time, keep your day job until you feel ready to move out and do it full-time. Your inventory, do you keep more neutral houses? Look, a lot of my houses do look the same. I do reuse my inventory. And if you go onto my Home Stages website, my Home Stages Cape Town website, I'm just writing it here in the chat. You'll recognize a lot of the furniture that I use again and again, but that's fine, because the buyers are not looking I'm doing houses in this area for this price range, this area for that price range. Buyers don't recognize my house, that my houses are the same. So it's fine. You have to reuse your inventory. And I also have my own style. All my students have their own style. All home stagers have their own style. So yeah, it's fine to reuse your inventory. And yes, my furniture is neutral, like it's grays and blacks and whites, and then my art tends to be bright. I think Rona's got a hand up. Unmute. Oh, you're going. Okay, bye, Rona. She's waving. Bye-bye. Yeah. Deborah, any question?
Hi there. Sorry. I did have a question.
Yes.
Do you store all your furniture, because you've got quite a large amount of furniture now? Do you
Yeah.
pay do you actually pay a monthly storage fee per se? And
Yeah. So at the
Store
moment, I
for-
do have a storage unit. I only got one like last year. So for the first like couple of years, I didn't really have storage. No, actually, I had my cellar, so I stored them downstairs. No, actually, you do sort of need a storage room. I'm just trying to think.
Yeah.
I had another arrangement. But what I try and do is move the furniture from one house to another immediately. So on one day, I'll destage a house and restage another house. So I try and coordinate it so that it works that way. A, because you don't not bringing it back to your storeroom, wrapping it, and then taking it another day. So I'm also saving on transport. So I try and do it, try and time it so it
Equitably,
works like
yes.
that. So this house that sold, the one I showed you that sold, that I heard about today that sold. Yesterday I saw another house that's probably going to stage. I mean, she's very keen. She's seen another house I staged, so she's very keen. So I'm going to time those two houses so they coincide. The one de-stages on the same day as the other one stages. So I don't need a lot of storeroom space. But you can get storage space, outside of the city that's quite cheap.
Yes, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
now I could imagine the logistics of that if you didn't have a job back to back, that you would have, you would have to have a storage space that you can go to and easy access to, for example, and the time constraints with that, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you, you answered. Yeah.
Pleasure. Yeah. Okay, my staff, Lorraine, I have one assistant who's been with me from the beginning, and he works 3 days a week for me. So when we're not staging, he is organizing my storeroom or watering for me, or going to see the plant, going to the houses. So I do have one. I wouldn't say he's a full-time. He's a 3-day-a-week employee. So you don't need to employ people, definitely not in the beginning. Oh, I see there's some more chats. Bye, Bev. Anyone would like a buddy at a later stage? Okay, thanks, Palesa. I will keep your number. And anyone want to take it down, maybe? Maybe Tohira. Okay, Tsungai, any questions from you? I think you're the one who said you love staging, you love decorating.
Sorry, I do, and I didn't even know there were home stages. I think I must have been searching on Pinterest or something. Because even now when the email came in, I was so excited, and I'm like, how did this happen? So just hearing you talk about it and saying you actually want more people to get into it, it's like, yay, this is actually a thing in South Africa.
Yeah,
so,
it's becoming a thing. Yeah.
Yes. So
I
no,
mean,
it's
what's also helped a lot are these home staging programs that everybody's watching, and programs on Netflix like Sunset. What's it called? Sunset something about
Yes.
angels. Yeah.
But I mean, you
yeah.
perspective in terms of, do you have storage for it? Do I collect my own inventory, or do I work with Choreograph, for example, and hire their stuff? So at least you've made it come to life for me. Yeah, oh, okay, so this is how you practically actually do it. Very
Great.
interesting. So thank
Glad
you
you
so much.
enjoyed it. It's my pleasure. Lovely to have you. And I saw another question. No, I do work with retail agents all the time. I mean, my agents are my friends. They just are not the ones who pay me. So you have to get in there through retail agents. You need to make relationships with estate agents. I do presentations, I send newsletters, I make phone calls, I send emails, just all the general marketing things. And so I form relationships with retail agents. That is the way to get in. I hope that's clear. Renee, you seem to be unmuted.
Yes. Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Would you approach a new development on the same or in the same way as you would an estate agent? Or which way would you go about it if there's new developments in your area?
Yeah, are they already built
Busy building.
They're busy building. So maybe then you must contact the developer.
Developer itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, you can, yeah, I mean, you can, I've done it once that I worked with a developer. I did a project for him. And then the second time I did a development with him, I did like a special price for him. This is how, I mean, I'm not sure if I'd advise this for everybody, but look, when you like been in business a while, you could do this. So basically what I did was I gave him a very low price for staging the unit, but then I made a contract with him that if it sold within 3 months, I would get a bonus. So
Okay.
I got a big fat bonus at the end of it. So you can do that, but you know, like you got to trust the person, you've got to have contracts. I would go straight to your developer and say, let's work together on this. Let's work
And do
together
you
on
generally find them quite open to it? Because, I mean, obviously they want to sell their units. So do you find them actually easier to approach than homeowners themselves? Or is it more or less the same type of game?
You know, I'm some stages prefer to only work with developers. Like my colleague Lucy in Joburg, she only worked with developers. I mean, she really preferred to work with developers, but I don't. So I work with agents mostly, pretty much mostly. Even that developer, he came to me through an agent. So I don't really have a lot of experience to share with you about that.
Okay, thank you. But I suppose one sort of work out where your niche market is as one goes along and do the different types of staging, or yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And also I should have mentioned, like, some people will find their niche market in the luxury market. They'll have only luxury furniture and only want to do that kind of staging and have relationships with those kind of agents, and they'll probably do fewer stagings but for more expensive. Other people, like I like to do like more the ordinary houses. I like that. I like that style. So that's my niche, I could say. Some people might do offices, staging offices for sale. There's all sorts of niche markets that you can get into.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Okay, Nomzamo, I'm already a budding interior decorator. That's awesome. Business card attached. You want a buddy? Okay, so what I'll do afterwards is, I think, put your email. Do you mind just putting your email? So, because otherwise I can't, I'm not sure if I can find your email again. Okay, you've given me your business card, but like Zandile, maybe you should also give me your email, and Sugu, if you're still there, please just send me your email, because then I can put you guys in contact with each other and you can make the arrangements, because I'll download the chat afterwards. Let me see if there are any questions. I think that's all the questions, unless anyone's got another question. iPad, I'm not sure who you are, but maybe you've got a question. Lindsay, perhaps you have a question. Okay, Lindsay, are you? Hi, Lindsay.
Hi there. Sorry, I'm listening with interest, and I think you're answering all my questions I had listed here. So I'm feeling really comfortable about that. And thanks very much. This has been most enlightening. I would like the recording, which I've requested in an email to you.
Okay. And where are you?
I'm in Johannesburg, and I'm wanting to do this in Portugal. So.
Oh, awesome. Then you'll join the association in Portugal. There's a nice association there.
Really? Okay, so it's kind of my plan B.
Lovely. Awesome. Yeah. Great idea. Okay, Deborah, furniture from, Coricraft and all of those places, they don't, as far as I know, they don't they don't rent to stages. I phoned like Vaylance and Block and Chisel in those places when I started, and they all said, we've tried it and it doesn't work for us. We don't get enough feet. You know, like how many people go to a show house? 20 max, really. So then it's not like they're getting foot traffic at all. And moving furniture is, you know, things get damaged. So it's really not worth it for them to do it. And it's off their stock floor, they can't sell it. And the amount of money they get for it is minimal. So they don't do it. Okay, I will send a link to the recording to everyone when I upload it to YouTube, which may not be immediately. Sophie, let's hear you.
Thank you, Lisa. I had a question on the chart, but it looks like you missed it.
Sorry.
Do you only stage houses for sale, or do you also stage rentals?
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see that question.
No.
You know what? I have done 1 or 2 rentals, but the issue with rentals is that, you know, when you're asking 7,000 Rand for a flat, for example, and then, you know, you're going to stage it, it's going to cost you a lot more to stage it. It's not so much buyers or sellers are, or sorry, rental people are less willing to spend money on staging a rental property. I mean, you might want to do that with a developer who's renting a lot of property. You do a show flat for them, but it's hard to do rental properties because, you know, you've got to make money as a stager, and so you can't do it for too cheap. You can't. I mean, this is not a hobby. This is a job.
Yeah.
You've got to earn money.
Sorry, would that mean that your price will be based on the monthly rental?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, you have to base it on like the value of the house, or the sale value of the house.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
You know, like yeah. Why do you ask that? Are you involved with rentals?
No, I'm not. I was just curious. I do have my own flats that whenever I'm getting new tenants, I'll just restyle, and because I'm an interior decorator by profession, so just it's for me, I just like doing it. But I was wondering, for staging, is it something that one could explore or not?
Look, you can explore it for like the 50,000 Rand a month rental property market.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Where are you based? Are you in Joburg?
Pretoria.
Pretoria, yeah. So, and also since you're an interior decorator, you've probably got a lot of the things that you need for staging, like throws and cushions, and
I think
built up.
I'm hoarding or something. My house is just, yeah. I think before I even get an inventory, I need a storage to put something.
I know. And you probably got that sickness, that disease that I've got, which is always like moving your furniture around in the house every day. It's like something
different. You're making me feel so much better. Thank you very much.
I just say always it's like a prerequisite to becoming a home stager. Like if you don't move your furniture around every like 3rd day, you're probably not cut out for this job.
It's crazy. It's good that
What's
I'm
your
not.
business called?
It's Fia Designs.
Oh, I'm going to look it up. Will you write it in the chat? Yeah, I'd love to see it.
All right, thanks.
Let me see who else. Are there any other questions? Appreciate the recording. Riseka, Lorraine, thank you. When we were out, this was fun. Another recording. Okay, lovely. Awesome. Well, looks like everybody, I think, has asked a question. Or Nomzamo, you're the only one I haven't heard from.
Hi, Lisa. Sorry, man.
No, it's fine.
Because I joined quite late, around about 6. So, yeah, I didn't want to ask questions that have already been responded to. That's why I requested a recording so that I can listen to it. And just a request to Sophie Mabena, if you can put your Instagram handle on the chat box so we can follow you.
Thank you very much. We'll do that.
I can also just, attach the chat and send it to everybody as well. But now I'm not sure. Oh, I didn't make a list of everybody who's on. Let me just take a screen print. Well, I'll just send it to those people who requested on here. Just take a screen print. I should have taken a print of. Oops, didn't work. There. Okay. Yeah, and listen, my number is 084 843 2426. You'll find it on my website. I've got 2 websites. I've got 2 Facebook pages. I've got 2 Instagram pages. The Facebook pages are called Study Home Staging or something like that, or Home Stager Studying or Home Stager Training rather. And my Home Stagers Cape Town on my business, the other business. So my phone numbers are there. You're welcome to phone me anytime for a chat. Just a chat, no pressure to sign up. But got questions. It's like going into a new career. So I understand that people, have a lot of questions to ask. And yeah, lovely to meet you all online. And I'm going to say bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for coming.
That was wonderful.
It's a pleasure. And thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Lovely to have you. Bye.